Hello everybody, my name is Jennifer Maker. Today I am sharing my favorite Cricut tips, tricks, and hidden features on the Great Maker Show and Tell. The Cricut cutting machine is hands down my favorite crafting tool. I use my Explorer and my Maker so much over the years that I've come across or come up with a lot of really nifty Cricut shortcuts that help me craft better and faster with it. It took time to learn these tips, which meant that in the beginning, I was making a lot of mistakes, wasting a lot of material, and of course, working slower than I really would have wanted to. So I want to pass along my favorite tips to you now in the hopes of saving you some time and some headaches and some money. These Cricut tips and tricks are from my personal experience, as well as contributed by the members of my amazing team. Between us all, we have decades of Cricut experience with a variety of different materials and techniques. And these shortcuts are the best of the best. If you only have time to learn so many tips, these are the ones that I want you to know. These are the ones that will save you. By the way, if you prefer to read or just want to print out these tips to keep next to your Cricut, which is not a bad idea, I put all of the tips into a book that you can print. There's a whole lot more tips in here as well that you won't find in the video. You can get all the details over at jennifermaker.com/shortcuts. Now I've organized the Cricut tips in this video as a countdown to my most favorite tip, just to have a little fun. I'm excited to share and demonstrate them all for you. Let's get started, shall we? Number 25. Keep vinyl rolls from unrolling. Are vinyl rolls unrolling on you and making a mess? You can tape them closed with painter's tape and it won't leave any residue like Scotch tape might. Another idea is to take a paper cardboard roll, cut it into 2-inch lengths or so, and then cut a slit in it. You can wrap these cardboard rolls right around your vinyl rolls to keep them tidy. And bonus, you can even write the type of vinyl it is right on the cardboard. And if you have some of those slap bracelets, you can quickly wrap those right around your rolls of vinyl to keep them in place too. Number 24. Keep your Cricut tools handy. I recommend you keep all of your Cricut tools together in one place so it's easier to use them when you need them. The simplest way to do this is to put your tools in the accessory cup in your Cricut itself. You can also use the flip-up compartment on your Cricut drawer. In fact, did you know there's even a little section for blades on the left and it has a magnet to keep them in place? Another idea is to put your tools on a pegboard near your Cricut, or you can make my Cricut tool bench. Get the files and tutorial for it at jennifermaker.com/toolbench. You can also use a 3D printed tool holder, like this one that we designed and made ourselves. Get details on this tool holder at jennifermaker.com/3D tool holder. The key is to keep everything together so you're not wasting time hunting for your tools when you just want to make something. Number 23. Store your Cricut pens tip down. Store your pens with the tip down in your accessory cup, tool holder, or pen storage. Storing pens upside down means the ink is always near the tip and is ready to go when you're ready to use them. This avoids or reduces issues where your Cricut pens just don't want to write after putting them in the machine. And if you just bought a pack of pens and are having issues with them, keep in mind that they're packaged with the point up and need some time for the ink to settle to the tip. The only exception to this rule is the Cricut gel pens. Gel pens should be stored horizontally to keep the ink from leaking out. This may also go without saying, but also keep the caps on your pens. In fact, when you go to use your pen in your Cricut, put the cap on the other end of your pen while it's in your Cricut cutting machine so you don't lose it. Number 22. Use the right tools for faster weeding. Weeding vinyl is challenging when you're not using the right tools. Most people just use the Cricut weeder, not realizing that while it's a fine tool, it may not always be the right tool for the job. Other great weeding tools include dental tools, tweezers, and craft knives. You can also use an empty 5mm mechanical pencil and a size 70 needle in place of the lead and make your own weeding tool. Or get fancy and buy a special weeding tool that also serves as an air release pen for bubbles. The other end can hold down small pieces that lift up when you're removing vinyl. I recommend that you keep all of these things close at hand with your other tools so that you always have the right tool for the job. Number 21. Keep your Cricut clean with compressed air. Over time, little bits of paper and debris and glitter will collect in your Cricut, and it can be really difficult to get to them to clean them out. But keeping your Cricut machine clean matters, as it makes it easier for the mat to pass through unimpeded, and you're less likely to get your mats dirty with all the stuff in it. I like to use a can of compressed air, the type that's used for electronics, and squirt puffs of air along the bed to remove all the gunk. It works really well, and you don't have to worry about getting into those hard-to-reach places. So long as you aim the can of compressed air directly at the bed of the machine, the air can go right out the back slot, along with all the dirt. Number 20. Weed faster with a container or painter's tape. When you're weeding a design and there are small bits to remove, it's crucial that you keep these tiny pieces away from your work surface, or they can migrate back into your design. This usually means having to stop and move your weeded bits out of the way every once in a while, and that can slow you down. But you can speed up weeding if you keep a little container close at hand as you work. You can use something fancy like the silicone ring that lets you put bits in as you go, or something as low-tech as a baby wipe container, a wet wipe dispenser, or even just an empty tissue box. Another idea is to wrap some painter's tape around your hand several times, sticky side up, and then just put the bits on the tape as you work. You use whatever works best for you, but definitely use something. Number 19. Keep your vinyl in place as you weed. So a lot of vinyl comes on rolls, specifically Cricut vinyl, and that means that once you're done cutting it, it can still be really curly and not want to lay flat on your surface. And frankly, trying to keep the curl down while you weed can be a nightmare. You want to keep it in place as you weed, and it makes it so much easier. There's a few ways to do this. One is to weed on a slightly sticky mat, not a super sticky mat, and it just keeps it right in place. So say you could use a blue light grip mat or an older green standard grip mat. You can also just tape your vinyl down to your surface with some painter's tape, and that will keep it in place. And finally, if you prefer to weed on a bright pad or some other sort of light box so that you can see your lines, you can use fabric weights, and that will keep it in place, or also painter's tape works just fine on your bright pad. But if you can keep your vinyl in place as you weed, it's almost like having a third hand, and it is a huge help. Number 18. Wipe down surfaces with alcohol before you apply your vinyl for better results. Whenever you're applying vinyl to smooth surfaces like glass or metal, you'll get a much better adhesion if you wipe it down first with something like rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. And the higher the alcohol count, like 91% or 95%, the faster it will dry. You can just use a giant jug like this, but a spray bottle with a fine mist works really well and is easier to handle. If you find you need to apply small amounts of alcohol frequently, a push-down pump dispenser is a lifesaver. You can get the big ones on Amazon or the small ones at the dollar store. They're marketed as nail polish remover pumps usually. It's also really important that when you wipe down your surface that you use a lint-free towel, or you're just introducing more dust to your surface. I use Scott shop towels, but if you don't have those, you can just use a coffee filter, which is also lint-free. Number 17. Transfer with less sticky tape and save your sanity. Let's face it, sometimes transfer tape is just too sticky. So if you're having issues getting your vinyl to come off your transfer tape, or you're just completely out of transfer tape, there are some alternatives. You can put strips of painter's tape or masking tape on a vinyl design and transfer with that. You can use lint roller sheets in a pinch too. Another idea is to use clear contact paper, which is less sticky and generally quite inexpensive. If you have none of these things and are still struggling with the sticky tape, try sticking your tape to a clean shirt or piece of fabric before you use it. This will reduce its tack and make it a little less sticky. Number 16. Keep your Cricut mats within easy reach. You're more likely to craft with your Cricut if your mats are within reach and ready to go. When you're new and have just one or two mats, You can simply slide them under your Cricut. There's just enough space for a few mats. But what about later when you've collected several mats of various grip strengths, or you have the longer mats? So I like to use a picture hook, but you can also use command strip hooks, the metal type, near my Cricut to hang my mats. I have a hook for regular size mats and a hook for long size mats, and it's so convenient. The key is to keep it within arm's reach, even if you have to put it in some unusual spot, like on the side of your desk or a little higher up. But if you have a place to put your mats, you're more likely to put them away and keep them cleaner and get to them when you need them. Number 15, waste less material with test cuts. One of the most frustrating things you can do is waste expensive material, especially when it was your last piece of cardstock or vinyl in just that one particular color. But you don't have to do this. Whenever you have a piece of material that is either new to you or is in scarce supply, always do a test cut first. Simply click on Shapes in Design Space, then click Circle and resize the circle down to about a 1/2 inch. Now just cut out the circle. If you can remove the circle freely from your material, you'll know your settings are good and you can cut out your entire design. But if you cannot, change your settings and try to cut out that circle again. Repeat until you can cut out the circle and then cut out your design. You will waste a lot less material this way. Number 14, get better results with double passes. Have you ever cut something and you can already tell that it didn't cut all the way through before you even unload it? I can often tell just by lifting up a corner on my mat. If this happens to you, there's something you can do. Before unloading your mat, press the C button again on your Cricut. This will pull your mat back in and recut it in exactly the same spot it just did. And this time it will cut a little deeper. You can do the same thing with scoring if you think your score isn't quite deep enough. The key is to do it before you press the unload button, because if you do it after you've unloaded your mat, the mat is unlikely to be in the same position and it will cut or score in a different position than the original cut or score. Number 13, keep your fabric grip mats cleaner. The pink fabric grip mats can get messy, especially if you get something like felt or fleece. While the pink mats will keep working for a while even with fibers and threads on them, it can be a mess. And you can't wipe them down or wash the fabric grip mats the way that you can the other mats. If you also struggle with this, consider putting a sheet of contact paper or transfer tape sticky side up on your fabric grip mat before you position your fabric on it. This means that fabric bits will get stuck on that piece of paper or tape rather than on your mat, and it extends the life of your mat. Now keep in mind that you can only get about 7 cuts or so before you'll need to change your contact paper or transfer tape on your mat, and it may take a while to remove because the machine cuts into the paper or tape too, so you have little bits, but it will definitely keep your mat cleaner. Number 12, extend the life of your cutting mats. If you cut a lot of projects like me, your mats can lose their stick pretty quickly. But there's something you can do to get more out of a mat that's losing its stick. As no doubt you've noticed, your Cricut always puts items to cut in the upper left corner of your mat by default. This means if you move things to be cut into other parts of the mat, it's likely to be more sticky in those areas because it's less used. For example, try moving things to the center or other corner in the mat preview and design space to use your mat more evenly. And also be sure to turn your mat around 180 degrees and use the other side too. Often an old mat will be stickiest on the bottom edge. Number 11, tape down materials to prevent moving on your mat. If your cutting mat has lost its stick entirely, you may still be able to use it with a little painter's tape or masking tape. Just place your material down on your mat where you want to cut it, then tape it down at the very edges with some painter's tape or masking tape. You may need to move your design to the center of the mat to accommodate the tape lines. Just avoid using this on any design with really intricate cuts, as that sticky mat really makes a difference then. And don't let the tape overlap the edge of the mat or get under the rollers, as it will likely jam your Cricut. This tip is also great for cutting any material that's really stiff, as they don't like to stay in place even with a brand new and sticky mat. Number 10. Charge your phone or iPad while you craft on a maker. If you have a Cricut Maker, you also have another charging station. On the right lower side of the Maker, look and you'll see a USB port. You can use this to charge your phone, or an iPad, or even plug in your BrightPad. And you can rest your device or BrightPad in a built-in slot at the top of your Cricut Maker too. I can't tell you how many times I've charged my phone from this port. Most people have no idea this port is even here, but now you do. Number 9. Access all material settings for better cutting. You're not limited by the material that you see on your dial on the Explore series machines, or even the materials you see under Popular on your Make screen in Design Space. You can access a whole bunch of settings for very specific materials. First, if you're using an Explore series machine, make sure you turn your dial to Custom Settings and keep it there. Makers don't even have a dial. They are always on Custom Settings, essentially. Second, when you're on the Make screen, be sure to click the Browse All Materials link in the upper right corner to search through all the settings and select the best one. Having the right setting makes a huge difference in the success of your cut. Number 8. Cut more than one color of material at once. Do you get frustrated by loading and unloading lots of mats when you have a design with many layers or colors? You can save time and headaches by cutting more than one color of a material at once. Just move all cut elements to the same mat in Cricut Design Space, either by making them the same color or by moving them individually on the mat preview screen. To do this, click the 3 dots in the upper left corner of each cut element and then click Move to Mat. Then you need to position each element in a different corner or section of your cutting mat in the mat preview screen. Once the Cricut knows where to cut everything, put appropriately sized pieces of material in the corresponding sections of your mat. It helps to refer to your mat preview as you place your material. This allows you to cut a ton of different colors at once. Number 7. Reduce tack on new mats. Brand new mats can be super tacky, and this can cause issues with getting materials off mats. But you can reduce the tack on new cutting mats simply by patting them down with your hands. The oil from your hands will make the mats a touch less sticky. Alternately, press a clean paper towel on your mat to transfer a thin layer of fibers to the mat and reduce its stick. Neither of these actions actually harms the adhesive on the mat, and you can later wipe them down to reveal more of the adhesive later when you need it. Number 6. Use a lint roller to remove debris and fibers. Cutting mats collect a lot of bits of paper, dust, and fibers, all of which can reduce the effectiveness of your mats. One really quick way to remove this layer of stuff and get a stickier mat is to run a lint roller over the surface of the cutting mat. This will pick up a lot of the loose little bits that like to cling to your mat. Of course, it's a great idea to keep your plastic mat protectors on your cutting mats while they're not in use to avoid collecting any extra dust or pet hair. Number 5. See cut lines better with baby powder or cornstarch. It can be difficult to see the cut lines in vinyl in order to weed them, especially if you have less than stellar eyesight like me. To make the lines more visible, sprinkle a little baby powder or cornstarch on your vinyl, then brush it in with a makeup brush. You can get both of these things at the dollar store very inexpensively. The powder goes right into the cut lines, making them appear for you so you can weed better and faster. And the powder wipes right off when you're finished. Number 4. Clean mats with baby wipes. Do you have a cutting mat that is just so well loved that it just won't keep anything stuck on it? Never fear, you can give it new life. Just use a non-alcohol based baby wipe or wet wipe to wipe down your cutting mat. If it's particularly dirty with fibers or whatnot, wipe in small circles all around the mat until it's clean. Then allow it to dry, which usually takes about 10 minutes or so for me. Not only will this clean your mat, but it'll help retain some of its stickiness too. I have a mat that I'd used well over a year ago, and when it lost its stick, I just put it in a drawer and then completely forgot about it. When I pulled it out because I needed a new mat, and I couldn't find one and didn't want to go to the store to buy a new one, I wiped it down with the wet wipe, and it became sticky and usable again. Number 3. Flip the mat to remove materials without damaging them. Are you tired of having your material rip or curl when you take it off your cutting mat? You don't have to put up with it, and I'm going to share my secret to removing materials from cutting mats, even fragile cardstock from the green standard grip cutting mats, without damaging them or curling them. The key is to remove the mat from your material rather than remove your material from your mat. To do this, just flip your cutting mat over so it's face down on your work surface. Then gently bend your mat up and away from your material. This puts the force of the bend into the mat, which bends right back, not your material. Often your material will spring right off the mat for you. Number 2, get little bits off your mat quickly with a scraper or card. Often when we cut cardstock or other materials, little bits of paper will be left behind on the cutting mat, and it can take a while to remove them one by one. The fastest way to remove them is to scrape them off. You can use a regular sized Cricut scraper or even an extra large Cricut scraper, which will do the job faster. If you don't have a scraper or forgot yours somewhere, you can also scrape the little bits off your cutting mat with a plastic card, like a store loyalty card, a hotel card, or an expired credit card. And number 1, improve your cuts with aluminum foil. To keep your fine point and deep point blades clean and cutting well, repeatedly poke the blade tip into a piece of aluminum that's rolled up into a tight ball. To do this, just tear off a 12-inch sheet of aluminum foil, ball it up tightly, push the blade's plunger down to expose the blade and keep it down, and then poke the aluminum foil ball about 40 to 50 times. Poking the pointy part of the blade into that foil ball will remove debris or oxidation that can build up on the blade, and it helps it cut better. While this is not sharpening the blade, as is commonly believed, it is using friction to remove little bits of stuff that collects on your blade and can cause issues when cutting. I regularly poke my blade into an aluminum foil ball and rarely, if ever, have issues getting clean cuts anymore. It really does work. Alternatively, if you don't want to risk poking yourself with your blade or leaving your blade behind in your foil ball, which can happen, you can put a piece of aluminum foil on your cutting mat and cut several simple designs out of it. This will also clean your blade and improve your cuts. See what I mean? These are the good tips, the ones that my team and I use on a regular basis. They help us so much, and I know that they're going to help you too. Of course, there are a lot more Cricut tips and tricks than I was able to fit in this video. This is really just the tip of the iceberg. I know of a whole lot more tips that are great for beginners, for cleaner cuts, for vinyl, for paper crafting, for organizing all of your Cricut stuff, you name it. If you'd like to hear more about these tips, let me know in the comments. And also let me know which ones in particular you're most interested in. I will count up the comments and do the one with the most votes next. If you have any questions about any of these shortcuts, tips, or tricks, let me know. Leave a comment or question below this video, or come on over to my Cricut Crafters group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters. By the way, and all the things that I mentioned in this video are linked in the video description if you need help finding them. Now, I know some folks watch my videos even though they don't have Cricuts yet, which is really cool. Thanks, guys. But I'd love for you to have one too. And that's why I regularly do a giveaway over on my blog so that other people who need one can get one. So you can enter for the chance to win and get all of the giveaway details at jennifermaker.com/Cricut giveaway. And that's it for today. I'll be back again with more tips and tricks, especially some great ones for beginners. Remember, I am always open to your project ideas. If you can tell me what you want to make, I can show you how to make it. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.